Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and there are a number of shows that are ending in the near future. Shows like Gumball, Uncle Grandpa, and Regular Show. I don't really watch Regular Show or Gumball, although I've been meaning to get more into Gumball, as everything I see about that show is pretty awesome. But I have had people ask me how I feel about Uncle Grandpa ending, and my feelings on that are, well, it had a good run. Seriously, it had 5 seasons and over 100 episodes. Actually, there's still plenty of episodes that have yet to air, so the show's probably going to be around for at least a few more years. But I really wanted to use this video as a chance to talk about my feelings about shows ending in general. When I was younger, I used to get super upset when shows I liked got canceled or ended. I always wanted more seasons, I always wanted more stories to be told, and I always wanted to spend more time with these characters. But as I've gotten older, I've adopted a different kind of mantra. I've realized that the longer a show goes on, the higher percentage chance there is of the show becoming utterly terrible. Not every show that goes on for a long time turns bad, but most of them do. So when I hear a show is ending after 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 seasons, I think to myself, you know what? Good for that show. That show didn't become terrible. Or if it did get bad, at least it got put out of its misery before it could get worse. And hey, a show to make it to something like 50 or 52 episodes, that's a lot of episodes. That's a lot of time you can spend watching the show. Really, the only 2 situations in which I get actually upset about a show ending are when the show only gets 1 season, like The Muppets, or 2, if the show abruptly gets canceled and doesn't get to have an ending, or abandons other story arcs in order to rush some sort of ending. Those are 2 situations that frustrate me, but in almost any other one, I'm just okay with it. I've learned to just accept that a show is over when it's over, and as long as it got to finish whatever story it wanted to tell, and as long as it has at least a few dozen episodes, I think it's a success. And I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm really not. I'm not saying that you're irrational or weird or awful if you're going to mourn the loss of Regular Show or Adventure Time when that ends or whatever show. Of course, it's natural to feel sad and upset about these things. And I can really only speak for myself, but I thought I'd share this because it's a position that I don't often hear. Usually you do hear people chanting and demanding and signing petitions and really hoping for more episodes. Personally, I've just accepted that this is the way shows are, and as long as it's gotten a fair shake out there, I think that's a plus. And it's not often said, but there is a benefit in having shorter shows. Shows like Gravity Falls and Avatar: The Last Airbender were able to be as great as they were, in part because the creators knew the story they wanted to tell and didn't try to stretch things out with extra seasons. Instead, they were concise and to the point with the arcs for the characters, and they were allowed to have big, elaborate finales that tied up a lot of loose ends. Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows, and while yes, it might have been cool to have maybe 1 or 2 extra specials after the finale to tie up some of the loose ends, like Zuko's mom, although of course that was covered in a comic, it would still be nice to see it as a TV special, I would not want another season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think it ended in the perfect place that it needed to end, and any extra seasons would have been absolutely dragging it out. I actually remember when I was younger wondering if SpongeBob was going to get a season 4 and being unsure of it and actually being kind of sad that SpongeBob was going to end. Of course it didn't, and I was very happy to see that SpongeBob did get picked up for a season 4, and now here I am a decade later saying that I just kind of wish it would have ended back then. And I guess my perspective is going to be a little different from most because I see television as an art form. Even children's television, I think, is something that can really achieve great artistic merit. I think it can be more than just entertainment. I think it can be true, beautiful, timeless art. And that's why, although, yes, no matter how long a show goes on, you could always opt to not watch the bad episodes or the bad seasons or whatever, but it still bothers me because it's a part of that artwork. It's a part of the story of the show, even in shows that don't have an overarching story. And so when it does get bad, it does hurt the overall picture of the show. It's like telling me to ignore the bottom left-hand corner of a painting because that part isn't so good. Sure, you can ignore it, but at that point, it is a part of the art. And also, you can't really know for certain if something is bad until you watch it, but then after you do see it, it becomes difficult for you to ignore certain things. Like if they just utterly ruin a character or have some really stupid plot twist. And that's why I'd just rather have a shorter series that is ultimately better for never having been dragged out, never having to go through any sort of seasonal rot, never having the characters become obnoxious and flanderized. Just a show that is good from start to finish, even if start to finish isn't that long. But back to my main point, when a show ends, am I sad about it? A little bit, yes. I will miss certain shows, and there is just something inherently sad about knowing there will never be any new adventures with these characters, at least not until it's rebooted in 20 years. But I'm not seriously bothered by it, and it's not something that I want to demand more episodes or start petitions or whatever. I'm just kind of okay with it. Of course, some shows like Steven Universe are going to be closer to my heart, and I'll be a little more upset when stuff like that ends, but again, as long as the show got a good number of episodes, it's really not that sad a thing that it's ending. So yeah, if you ever want to know how I feel about a show that I like ending, just know that though I will miss it a little bit, I respect that it's ending and I'm pretty much okay with it. Unless it got unfairly cut off before it could finish its story, or if it only got just barely off the ground with like one season. In today's world of reboots and reimaginings and spin-offs and sequels 20 years after the fact, it is just nice to let some shows just end. Even if it might seem like a sad thing or a bad thing, there definitely is some benefit in letting it just be done. But again, that's just my perspective on this, and I totally see where a lot of other people are coming from. I've been there, I used to get really upset about shows I like ending, and I don't blame you at all if you're really upset about your favorite show coming to a close. But what do you guys think? Pie Guy Rules, out.